There is this one part of the Ascension journey which is the most difficult to navigate, but it's so potent because after this kind of transition point, your life truly does change. You start to see visible changes in your external reality as well. So I want to talk about this initiation between the stages 3 and 4 in the Ascension journey. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sylvia Salo and I help light workers, starseeds, priestesses and leaders to remember who they are. And I do so inside of my school of remembrance, where I walk people through different levels of consciousness that mirror the Ascension journey, so people can embrace their gifts, their potential, and also heal their soul wounds, so that they can create the life they are meant to create in this lifetime. And today I want to talk about the Ascension journey a little bit. There is a whole roadmap to the Ascension journey. As we are so-called ascending, we are basically navigating ourselves through different levels of consciousness. A big part of your being is ascended already. It always has been. So you can think about it, there is just this kind of like a human self that is actually ascending. The soul first descends from higher dimensions, so the ego is born, the human self is born, so we can have this beautiful experience on planet Earth in the 3D. And then at some point, the ego and human self, they start to reconnect to the soul. And this part of us starts to so-called ascend. If you are interested, I have more videos on my YouTube channel on ascension, descension cycles of the soul. Now, when we are ascending, there is actually very clear dynamics, and I would say laws and initiations that we all go through to some degree. There are some things that everyone goes through. We cannot escape them. And then it depends on your soul's ancestry and your soul's intentions. There will be different flavors to that ascension journey as you are moving through those things that everyone moves through. And if you are interested in this, I have a free training that you can get access to when you subscribe to my newsletter under this video, so you can dive deeper into this whole process if you are interested. Now I want to talk about one specific transition point in the Ascension journey. So you have woken up, you had some kind of spiritual awakening, and it may feel really good in the beginning, and then you hit this kind of stage where your ego and soul are merging together. What it means is that you are basically learning to let go of your ego, but not completely. Because the ego is also something that we all need here on this planet. So there is an aspect to the ego which helps us to individualize ourselves. So you as a spark of God, you as the essence, are individualizing yourself through your own unique soul desires, the things your soul wants you to experience. And this makes you unique, and this uniqueness kind of transpires through so-called ego. But we all know the ego also has this kind of like negative aspect to it, right? It's that part of the ego that tends to get stuck in some fears or some strange loops. It can even get stuck in some past life strange dynamics. And there is literally a part of the ego that is stuck in a different time. Now, what happens when we start to release this negative ego is that the ego starts to listen to the guidance of the soul. So we get out of our way. We stop sabotaging ourselves. And we really start to listen to the soul. What does it look like? Listening to your soul means that you know deep down that you have to act on something, create something, become something. And you do it, even if you are scared. But back then, previously, perhaps your ego would have stopped you from acting on it. And if it did stop you, very likely you would continue living your life in the same loops. So you could spend, 8 decades or something, living kind of the same experience. This is what the ego does. But at a certain point of the ascension journey, which I see truly as a turning point, because I know inside of my school of remembrance, people come to me either at that stage or once they are past that stage. And I see how their lives can change so rapidly. This is where it starts to be really interesting. This is where they really start to tap into their soul's energy. If you like this video, I would like to invite you to my free training where I guide you through the ascension pathway that mirrors the 5 stages of consciousness: a light worker, starseed, priestess, leader, and a master. And inside of this training, you will learn what are the things to work on each level, and what are the transition portals into the next level of the ascension pathway. So if you are interested, you can get access by subscribing to my newsletter. See you there. And how do you know if you are in this transition is that you start to let go of your identities. So you let go of the identity of the person you thought you were before. So your whole life restructures itself. Many people, again, this is individual, but many people experience changing jobs, maybe changing even the place where you live, moving to a different place. Some people feel they have to disconnect for some time from their family. Some people feel like they are really on the quest of getting to know who they truly are, and that quest guides them, to new places, to new people, or very likely to solitude. You also may experience that some of your relationships end during this cycle, because those people were just meant to get you to that point, and your contract is complete. So there is lots of dissolving, there is lots of letting go. And this can be very frightening, because the way you knew yourself and your life as you knew it is dissolving. And you don't yet know who you are on the other side. It's almost like you are crossing a bridge from the 3D to 4D. And you cannot really see the bridge. You just have to trust that it's there. And during this time, it's very common that you may feel super excited one day and you can think like, oh, I know what I should do and it's easy. And the next day you feel like there's no way, nothing's working. Now, this stage can last at least a couple of months, if not a couple of years. It really does depend on how willing you are to let go of your old personality, your old life, your identities, whatever they are. Maybe you have seen yourself as someone who is very logical, as someone who can keep doing things, as someone who is really good in corporate life. And all of a sudden, you don't care about those things anymore. Many people experience this strange feeling that you are like tapping into this different kind of logic, which is driven by the soul. And so perhaps you forget some kind of things that you used to know, and you start to move more intuitively. You may, just like this kind of logical part of the mind is not as strong, but there is a completely different wisdom guiding you all of a sudden. And as I said, for many people, this kind of transition is quite lonely, because to some degree you have to go through it alone. You have to cross the bridge by yourself. You always can have guides, and if you can, I would support you or invite you in having those guides, some people who can support you on your journey. But to a big degree, you'll move through it by yourself. Also, during this stage, people may experience the dark night of the soul. But as I mentioned in my other YouTube video, which you can find, the dark night of the soul is actually the dark night of the ego. Because as this ego is that negative ego who was tied to our personality, our identities, our past, is now finally listening to the soul. Because you have tried everything, through the ego. You have tried to perhaps do the things the right way as you should based on society. Maybe you were relying on your degrees, on logic, and these kind of aspects. And it's not working anymore. You stop caring about it, and it doesn't make you happy. And so you know that there is something else. And you may not know what it else is, what it looks like just yet. And if you are in this stage, just trust it. It will end. It will end one day. And when it does, you will emerge in like a new reality, truly. Then you no longer have those identities. When it comes to our identities, I think it's good to be playful with them. We shouldn't think like, oh, I'm this and that, and this is who I am. No, be playful. This is one of the expressions of myself that I'm now exploring, but I have no attachment to it. And that's okay. But if we are like seeing ourselves like, I am this and that, and this keeps us stuck somewhere, then it's not helpful. So those identities are being released during this transition. And what really happens is that the ego is listening to the guidance of the soul. And you have to trust your soul that it guides you to a much better place. You don't know what it looks like. Because you are supposed to truly learn to trust and know the invisible world, the invisible guidance. This is so important to build this kind of spiritual muscle in yourself. We all have to go through it. No one has a guarantee. No one knows that like one day everything will be alright, but it will be as long as you continue leaning into your soul and your heart and your innate wisdom more than to the ego and the fears. It doesn't mean we should be ignoring our fears, quite the opposite. Now is a perfect time to work with them, to release them lovingly, to do, inner child healing, to look at your past lives, to look at those karmic dynamics that you may share with your family. Now is the time to really work with them and release them, because they're connected to that negative ego. And so when you work on yourself, you continue developing faith. But faith, it's not even the right word. I think it's knowing. You just know. You tap into that knowing within you that everything will be okay. And you also start to see where you should be next. What is your next life, after you go through this transition? What does it look like? Because likely your soul will then guide you maybe to a different career, to different relationships. This is very common. So if you are in this stage, just let go of those identities. Don't stay attached to them, because what's waiting on the other side is so much more valuable. So where does your soul want you to go? Where is your heart guiding you? Trust that innate wisdom. And I just want to say one more thing. There is a difference between the wisdom of the heart and listening to the emotions. Being emotional is not it. That's not the heart's wisdom. The heart's wisdom is very quiet, it's very serene, it's very stable. It doesn't change based on your emotions. It actually has very little to do with being emotional or listening to the emotions. It's that undercurrent, that steady energy that's guiding you in your life. Just like birds, when they fly, they just lean into those air currents and they let themselves be led. This is that heart's wisdom. And if you want more resources, you can check out my masterclasses on my website. I have the Higher Heart Chakra masterclass to help you tap into that wisdom inside of your heart. And I also have many other masterclasses depending on what you feel you need at the moment. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I see you next time.